especially for like sports radio, because they have all like the B players, radio people come on. These guys who like push the buttons in the background with no personalities. And you hear these guys ranting about sports and stuff. You're like, oh my God, this is just so brutal.
I don't know what I don't listen to sports radio. It came on the other day. My son is home.
Yeah.
And I turned on the television after he had been here, and it came up with ESPN. And they were starting into that, and I realized, I'm the political guy, and he's like the sports guy. It's the same thing, though.
Oh yeah.
It's the same motif and everything. They wear suits, and they act like it's news.
You could turn the volume, or just the overall volume on my headphones down.
It was just too loud.
Yeah, it's
your
just
headphones.
Too loud.
How's that now?
Good.
Yeah, good. In the morning, with Doug and John. Good morning, John.
How are you, Doug?
I'm doing quite well. I was very, very glad we could get the podcast in this week. It's been two weeks in a row.
I know. It's a new.
We're right at the end of the year. We're closing.
What are you doing next Saturday?
I'm busy. No, I'm actually available, but we're closing strong in the 2018.
That's right.
That's what we do.
Well, you know what? I feel my opinion of myself is that I have a history of slackitude, and that I'm not a strong finisher on things, and so get your mind out of the gutter. I can run a 50 yards though. I can finish that.
You can. You're a 50-yard sprinter.
Yeah, I'd like to race you in the 50-yard dash once.
Oh my gosh, we should totally do that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so.
I love the idea you've kept a category in your head. I could out sprint that guy in 50 yards. Is there a list of people, or is it just me?
Well, I just you size them up as you see them.
I love that so much.
I mean, like if you're like I could like punch that guy. Could I get away from him in 50 yards?
Okay, let's just pause for 1 second.
Check.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. I didn't have John's mic on, so I don't know how much of John you heard, but it was precious. But now we're off and running.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 50-yard dash.
Anyway, so the interruptions that we've had in the production of the podcast have not been due to slackitude, but due to like legitimate, life situations.
Because we've both actually been busy doing important things, not just slacking off.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah, it's not like, any other reason.
What people might not know is that 3 years ago, we've tried multiple podcasts like this together. So the In the Morning with Doug and John.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is heads and this is in another league.
And
Penny Marshall.
If the people weren't clamoring for it, I don't know if we would be compelled to carve out the valuable time to do this. But there's such clamoring.
This last week was the first week that I had someone give me I was not pleased with what you said on the In the Morning with Doug and John live feed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you care to elaborate on what they?
What it was? It's throwing you a bone by saying so. They don't think there should be an age limit on people's work in the government.
Well, sure. As old as you are, you
Ruth
would think
Bader Ginsburg. Could we please? But anyway, and she's she rightly chastised me the way you did.
Was she an aged person?
She's not the point. She's fantastic. There's no way to minimize her comments. She's spot on.
Oh, you think I was trying to minimize her?
I'm saying I don't want to categorize it as No, it was.
I was just truly curious, as if if she had a dog in the fight. But anyway,
well, she's like
you. Thank you for your comments, and
like
feel free to correct
Doug
at any time you want to.
She just thought it was outrageous, as all great ideas are when they land upon the common folk.
Mm-hmm.
But I just that she was listening, and brought it up, a day or two later. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Anyone watching. Yes. Being part of this in any way. And hello, Mike Stavland.
Yes.
By the way, he's been very public about his avails, and I tell you, my care and love affair of that guy goes even deeper than ever.
Yeah.
A pacemaker, for those who don't know, a friend younger than us.
Was having some, apparently having some syncopal episodes where he was passing out.
A single
just one, was it?
Syncopated episode.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That standing in the kitchen... waking up in the intensive care unit.
Yeah.
With a concussion.
The exact same thing happened to Robin's brother-in-law, and he was at the gym, and he's in the Navy and stuff, but he was at a Planet Fitness or something, and he just got finished working out, and he was getting ready to leave, and he just passed out. Fortunately, there were 2 off-duty paramedics that were working there, and they had an AED thing.
Wow.
And so they were able to shock him back to life. And then they had to, he had to go through the whole thing of getting the pacemaker and everything. The same thing that Mike went through.
I mean,
but around Mike's same age too, but not as fit as Mike.
This is the thing that makes you just realize why the age of the life expectancy has gone up so much. People, these are things you would have just died from.
Oh, certainly.
Within our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Our very long, long lifetimes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Incredible.
I do have a Mike Stavlin joke that I thought up of.
Oh.
Mike Stavlin was diagnosed with a cancerous tumor on his thigh a while back.
Yeah, a melanoma.
Right. And I think the first thing that I would have thought if I had that was like, that's too close to my penis. That would have been the first thought I would have had.
You're like, couldn't I have like liver cancer or something that gets it out of the lower
because
regions?
The proximity is just a little if cancer could just make a leap onto and
yeah, a little close. It's a handhold away. From
I don't think that Mike thought
climbing.
that when.
No, but I like it that your idea about like the ranking of your organs.
Right. I mean,
I don't want liver cancer or I don't want pancreatic cancer. I just want to keep that off my leg because it's a little close to my.
To my junk, right?
My true. You are unbelievable.
Yeah, probably the most expendable body part that you have.
Yeah. I mean, especially the amount of use you're going to get out of it now versus in the past. I mean, it's really garage sale sort of material. You're a soon to be married 52-year-old man. The use of that thing for anything other than use of your urinary tract is.
Well, speak for yourself, Doug.
Falling off the cliff. I was saying that 3 years ago, we started a 1-year podcast project. Do you remember?
Hey, get better, Mike. He just got out of the ICU. He's at home now. He's got a pacemaker, don't make any sudden noises around.
Yeah, I just wanted.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. The other day, I was on my radio show, and I was saying to people, "Hey, when you get your new voice-activated speaker at your house, you can tell them to listen to the radio show." And I mistakenly said Siri rather than Alexa. So I said, "Hey Siri, play AM 950 on," and what just happened now on my iPad, I got a Facebook message just after that from somebody watching on the live stream that said, "Hey, thanks, you just caused my Siri Siri pod to take off." Isn't that funny?
So you're saying 3 years ago, and like 45 minutes ago, you tried to make this 3 years ago point.
We started a podcast called 49th Parallel.
Yes.
Which was going to be us reflecting, because our birthdays are a month apart, being in our 49th year. What's it like for two men to live the final year of their 40s?
Right.
That was such a great idea. That
it was.
My life couldn't hold. We think we did 3 or 4 episodes. There's a Facebook page for it still.
Yep.
But I think we were born for podcasting, live streaming in our 50s.
Yeah, that was more of a complicated time for me. I was not maybe as reflective as I should have been. Yeah.
I wish we had spent our 40s better.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well.
How's your 50s going? Huh? Did you make that 180 there?
I spun around the corner. Hey, we had a couple of great conversations going on before we got in here, and I asked you to hold your thought on 2 of those because I thought they were show worthy.
Right.
One of them was your comment about underwear fabric.
Yeah, my comment was a question. Do you ever have underwear that's too slippery on? Not that it's slipping off of your body, but your clothes has no friction on it, so your shirt's always coming untucked and your pants are, bagging down.
It's a fabric mismatch down on the buttocks region.
Yeah.
Totally. Happened to me the other day. I couldn't understand what was happening, my pants kept sliding down.
Yeah.
At an irritating level. I mean, like this is full on Larry David bit, right? And not until I derobed that evening did I realize, not only did I have my sort of sporty
wicking underwear.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That some reason I think I need.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know, a 50-yard dash might break out with a competition with a friend. But I had a belt on that was too heavy.
Wow. Boy, that's an X factor to.
That's what I hadn't noticed, because when I picked up my pants because when I went to pull my pants off, I often, this is a bad habit, I don't unbutton. I do it with my shirts too. I just slide them on and off on still buttoned.
Well, you skinny bitch, you can just slide your pants off without unbuttoning them.
Well, I'm plumper above my pants, like my love handle.
No ass.
I know. Oh yeah. Oh, that's probably it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm flat back there.
Yeah.
So it's just a cookie sheet straight down.
Right.
Yeah. But then I picked up my pants. And I'm like, this belt needs to be worn with. I am a grown man. Just realizing you have to match your belt, your pant fabric, and your underwear fabric.
Well, kudos to you for being a man in your 50s with more than one belt.
Do you have one belt? Or you have, is it reversible, black and brown?
I don't have brown shoes, so I don't have to deal with that.
No, I have a number of belts, mostly because of width.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the dress pants, the loops tend to be a little, you know.
So these pants that I had on, these jean things, they had so I have this wider belt, and I kind of like. I mean, it makes me feel like I'm a fashionable person.
Sure.
It's intolerable. I have to put the package together, because what I was wearing, now I recall, I was not wearing my wicking pants underwear. I was not. I was wearing my silk long underwear.
I wish you wouldn't have said that. Made me think about that. For what I'm thinking, they're pink. I don't know why.
Well, if only. Do you wear long underwear in the winter?
Only if I'm doing something that is very outdoor centric, like if I'm going to the ice castles, where you're going to be standing outside and.
Well, let me tell you, if you're thinking about a Christmas gift for anyone,
yeah,
adult, I think, I don't know, kids, they just get along. Mm-hmm. Any adult, women, male, non-binary, whatever. A pair of silk undergarment, long underwear. From REI. They're not all that expensive. You might think I was going to say,
this sounds very 1%er to me.
Yeah, you might think silk is going to blow your mind. But silk is like the light wool, which I have a bit on to do here on wool. But silk is fantastic. And these pants, they're quite stretchy. And silk, I mean, it's the only thing. I've got now a silk pillowcase. I have a silk sleeper, like sleeping bag insert thing for travel. Oh my gosh! And they're $29, $29 something for these long underwear.
Yeah, that's what a good pair of those would cost, I guess.
Yes. Oh my gosh! I'll tell you, if you're thinking about a Christmas gift for anyone right now, they pull out of a stocking or out of a box.
They're going to be happy people.
Oh, and they'll say to themselves, "Silk keeps you cool when you're hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's wicking.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps you warm when you're cold, and keeps you temperate when you're temperate." But they do create a slip, because that's what I was bringing up.
Yeah.
Because not only was I getting a little slip up in my cookie sheet.
Oh, you were just
all the way down my legs, all the way down my calves. Like these things just wanted to fall off. The heavy belt.
Yeah. There was
the whole time.
No like Velcro action from your leg hairs to keep them up.
Yeah.
Not that I have very many leg hairs.
My big calves.
Yeah.
Hey, as long as we're on this topic.
Oh boy.
Can I do a plug?
Okay. Yeah.
An advertiser plug,
sure.
which I'd really like.
Yeah. Okay.
I have now, and I'm wearing it now. I even put it on special.
Oh.
I have become a fan of wool undershirts.
Okay.
This one's called Outbound. There's another brand called Woolly.
Okay.
You might say to yourself, I am not paying $30 for a T-shirt, for an undershirt.
Well, for a black V-neck, I might.
They are extraordinary. Both brands. They fit a little different, the cut. I saw it on Facebook. I'm one of those guys that, like the ads work.
Wow. Yeah.
I was getting ready for the Vote Common Good tour. We're going to be traveling, and they got me. I don't know. Somehow they knew I was traveling. Mark Nowitzki, don't start telling me it's because the TSA and NSA and CBS and FBI are listening. Whatever their
Your
initials.
movements are being triangulated. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm fine with me. But they had this thing about like, hey, do you need the perfect travel shirt? And they have these little videos, that run.
Yeah.
Well, I made the mistake of watching one of those. Just, they're reeling me in, throwing me in the boat, and flaying me.
How is it different from a cotton shirt, Doug?
Couldn't be happier. The quality of these things. Well, so wool, like its fancy little sister, silk, keeps you warm when it's cold, keeps you cool when it's warm, and it wicks. And it's microbacterial preventive. They don't stink. They never stretch out. They fit snug. I'm telling you, it is unbelievable. If you had to buy one shirt, buy a well-fitted wool. Look on Facebook, Woolly, or I think it's Outbound. I should make you look in the back of my collar.
I'm not going to do that.
Really? I'd race you. So just couldn't be happier. And if they ever wanted to be an advertiser, we would send me one shirt every 10 years, and I'd talk about it like this every day.
Can you wear it as an outer shirt? I really don't do undershirts, Doug.
Oh, I'm gonna do it right now.
All right.
Just carry us while I derobe.
All right, I'll do that. Well,
watch it.
You guys are seeing a lot right there. That looked pretty good, actually, Doug.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, good enough.
Well, good enough for a married man. Who are you trying to impress?
Well, you tell me. I've thought about you. I've thought about you with this shirt so many times. That's the whole pitch. You could wear it as an under.
Oh, yeah.
You could wear it as an outer.
I think it's even better than cotton.
What's the brand?
As an outer.
What's the brand in there? What do you
That's
saying?
an Outbound.
Outbound.
Mm-hmm. That's an extra large he's wearing there,
Extra
folks.
large Outbound. It's nicely cut. The woolly fits even better for me, just because of my awkward torso. Incredible. I'm telling you.
There's a little, just the tiniest of sheen to it that makes it look a little bit more upscale than just a regular cotton tee like I'm wearing.
Yes, like you could wear this if you were seeking venture capital funding for your startup.
Absolutely.
In Silicon Valley, totally wear this. If you were trying to, buy illegal products the way you do, if you know what I'm talking about, you totally feel comfortable in a drug deal with one of these things.
Oh,
you could
sure.
Feel comfortable at a casual backyard event.
Yes.
Or if you're comfortable wearing short sleeves in the winter, which I still do not understand why people do this, how they pull it off.
Oh, yeah.
Short sleeves in the winter.
I never do. Never wear long sleeves.
It's like wearing canvas shoes in the winter. It's just...
you just...
Anyway, if you were comfortable with that in the wintertime, totally pull it off. Can I just one more point?
Sorry, folks.
Now I'm dropping a hint. I just got to finish my bit. I'm working on this.
Oh, okay.
They make wool underwear.
Full circle.
If you were thinking about something for a friend, just anybody, they make the wool underwear.
So Woolly and Outbound.
Yes. Woolly and Outbound.
And the other thing we were going to talk about was that I'm going completely sober for the new year.
That was the big one. What is going on? You said you leaned around the corner.
Yeah.
From the laundry.
Yeah.
And just drop this one. Oh, by the way, which I think it did start with oh, by the way. Come the first of the year,
right?
Which is like Saturday,
right?
Week from today.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
A week from Tuesday.
It will be here when it gets here.
Don't rush it.
No,
week from Tuesday. I'm going full clean sober.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And it's not just because I'm a tainted hungover right now. It's not like one of those I'm never doing this again. Yeah. No, it's not. I'm not. I mean, I'm not that bad. It would take a lot, take a much bigger hangover than this to spoil my track record of fun here.
What brings this about?
I just so I have to be careful about how I say things right now. Okay.
Okay.
I don't partake in a whole lot of crazy things. Okay.
Okay.
But it's like over the past year or whatever, haven't really been able to, drop this weight. I've had a change in a job where I'm more sedentary. And I view things like, alcohol and other, things that people might indulge in on a semi-regular basis Obviously not cocaine and heroin. All right, I'm not.
I've already painted you as a drug buyer.
So, I view those things, as they should be enrichments to your life.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
and just for every people should be, observed doing those things soberly. Okay, not out of impulse or a drive, to, or even out of habit that it's a Friday and I'm going to go get drunk because that's what I do, or right. or whatever. So when you begin to, and I've got a bit of an addictive personality, so when you begin to do those things without that observation, I think you can. You can live your life and be happy and do, all sorts of things, but, it can also, you can also fool yourself into think that you're managing all of these things well when you're like, I'm not feeling good. Maybe I'm staying up too late, or, I'm overindulging, and it could be anything for anybody or whatever. Yeah. And so I'm such an Epicurean that if I want to do these things,
hold on. I don't want to interrupt this thought, but
okay.
What is an Epicurean?
Well, Epicurus was like this Greek or Roman dude, all right, who was like all about pleasure and food. And so that's like Epicurean is a term that's often used in the foodie language, foodie world. Anyway, so I want to be able to enjoy those things when I do partake of them, and not just as a part of a rhythm that I'm involved in.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's fantastic. Yeah. And for you, that's going to be all wine, beer, spirits.
Yes.
I love that spirits.
Mm-hmm.
The whole category.
Yeah. And I'll have a occasional cigarette from here and there. That won't be part of it. Yeah. Usually when you're drinking, it's just a weird thing.
That seems like the easy start.
Oh, well, sure.
Yeah, and the best for you.
Oh, clearly.
But you're gonna hold on to that one.
No, all of it goes.
Oh, well, I thought you said you were gonna have a cigarette occasion. Oh, you meant when you stop drinking. The cigarette will also go.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. No, I missed. I thought you were saying, I'm going to cut those, but I'll still have the occasional cigarette just to sort of remind me with an empty glass or
right.
What are those?
Right. What the couple
fake ice things being
hits
used.
of meth. Other than that, I'm going to be totally. But I've got to. I also have a reunion next summer.
Yeah.
So I want to be.
Well, I have heard
be in good shape for that.
For many males of our age, that cutting out alcohol consumption is worth 10 pounds a year easy. Maybe more, just that. The amount of weight you put on with liquid calories.
Yeah.
And the amount of liquid calories in drinks and in beer and wine is through the roof.
Yeah, the body really does absorb that well, doesn't it?
It just, it's like that's liquid gold. We're saving that for later.
Exactly.
I'm putting that on the hip.
Right.
So stick that one up in the
because lean times could be ahead.
For me, it's right behind the. It's right in the what are these called? The trapezoids back here, right behind the shoulder blades. Jeez. Yeah. Well, congratulations, my friend. That's we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. I don't feel like I'm like tortured or driven by anything. It's just like, I'm just going to enjoy sobriety for a while.
Are you going to spend this week preparing for that in some sort of ways that some people do? Like, this is my,
No, I'm not.
Like you and Michael Cohen, kind of getting ready for,
like a last hurrah kind of thing. No, it'll just be whatever it normally is until it's not.
I saw Shelley and I watched a movie last night, a Netflix-made movie with Sandra Bullock.
Oh, yeah.
And, do you know this film?
I just heard about it.
Bird Box.
Yes,
Bird Box. It was pushed to us by Netflix. Like when Netflix came up, it was like, hey, maybe you should watch this.
Yeah,
and it has Sandra Bullock, and we're both big Sandra Bullock fans. Who just, honestly, is there anybody better in sort of the music or in the movie world?
Well, maybe, but
all categories, like just the general. She's a great actress.
By conversation topic, our younger demographic is falling off dramatically.
Well, Sandra,
first the underwear, then the no booze, now the Sandra Bullock. The only people who are listening are people who don't know how to use the internet.
Like, I can't stop it, honey. Just, I don't know. Start saying, Alexa, stop playing the. Yeah, they're watching on those big bugly phones or whatever they have, the commercials for the older people.
Yeah,
my mom likes to stay in touch with our kids, so I bought her the phone with the huge buttons. Well, I just think she's delightful, just delightful.
How so?
I just think her affect. I think her acting.
Tell me how it was delightful in this movie.
The look at. Well, I just find her to be. I mean, she really strikes me as. I mean, I sort of watch her in films and think, oh, we've been friends for years. It's so great to see a friend doing well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of feeling I have for. I'm sure she's been too busy to respond to my letters, but she'll get around to them.
The lawyers will.
No, I just find her to be just so pleasant, right? Like, name a Sandra Bullock movie I wouldn't watch, and I'd buy you a pair of wool underwear. Well, there might be one. It's called Bird Box.
Oh,
but
nice,
yeah,
nice landing there.
Yeah, it's not great. The best part of it is, it's an hour and 17 minutes with Sandra Bullock. 117 minutes with Sandra Bullock. Anyway, so she's fine. It's okay. It's sort of a dystopian thriller. She's actually quite a sometimes she's like the fun. She's real serious and has to play a character that's real. Like she's the mean one.
Yeah, like
she's
that,
like, I'm taking life seriously, and you people are going to get us killed. Like, she's that person, and wow, I'm like, oh, boy, Sandra, I've never had you get angry with me before. When you put yourself in the role of the watcher. All that to say, one of the character lines in it, it's dystopian. It's going to end. Maybe the world's going to end. That's the storyline.
Oh, here I am putting on chapstick in public. After I said not to.
Yeah, the great one of the fine
Jeez.
Facebook updates the other day. Yeah. Yes, men should use lip balm, and they should never put it on in public.
Yeah, they should never be seen doing it.
And you're putting it on.
I feel I'm such at home with you people that
you're just right here.
I am.
Why? Okay, I'm going to write down lip balm because I want to come back and find out why you need it. We're going to do a little Ayurvedic, a little. I'm going to do some arm pulling.
All right.
The natural health people.
Well, let's say this for near the end because it sounds so compelling to me right now. I'm going to have you stick
your arm out and see if it's good for you or not. You know those treatments?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay. So in the storyline, the world's maybe going to end. There's a couple of young people that end up in this. How did this group of people end up together when the world's going to end? Storyline, right? None of this is ruining anything. This is all in the previews. But this couple, which is not, they're like going to hook up that just met in the midst of a crisis where people are dying, and then 4 scenes later they're in the laundry room, and I said to Shelley, like, how into sex does someone have to be that how not in the mood do you have to be to have a believable storyline that the world's going to end, people are dying around, there's a dead body around, and you're like, world might end, we should probably get one more in. Really? Your cortisol level would be through like that to the most. So I wanted to raise this to you, to the most sexually interested people in the world. I can't imagine that there would be this last hurrah thing going on. But maybe, and that all comes from your last, the idea of the last hurrah, which...
Well, people handle stress differently, Doug, I guess.
I guess.
It seems a little far-fetched. I'm sure there would be a lot of banging in the end times, but I'm sure there'd be a context, not like right after,
Good, I mean, okay, anyway. Okay. But anyway, it's a movie worth watching if you're super into Sandra Bullock.
Well, I saw The Fountain, not The Fountain, that was a different movie. The Favorite last night.
Favorite. Don't they spell it like that? They spell it in the English way.
That was the worst part of the movie is that they misspelled the title.
Yeah. Well, they don't speak English over there.
That's right. And so it was apparently done by the same guy who did The Lobster and some other weird movies that I have not seen. So I didn't know anything about this guy's style or whatever, other than what was, what you saw in the commercials for it. And I thought it was fantastic. It was really interesting to be able to, you're saying, Sandra Bullock is being, angry at you.
Yeah.
But this was like, seeing like the shot set up from the view, like from the eye of this very bizarre director. So you're like, some of the scenes are set up in such a way that you feel like you're seeing the world as he sees it.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Because it's a lot of inside shots in this movie. It mostly takes place indoors. I think they really got creative in how to film in those kind of tight situations, and like a lot of the wealthy, avant-garde, royalty, they look very distorted and grotesque.
Nice.
And the casting of these people, is really fantastic. So it's got a lot of adult subject matter in there. So definitely not for for the kids.
It's not the Christmas family movie. You're not going there with the family.
No.
Christmas Day.
No, we're going to go see Vice on Christmas Day.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're going to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you want anybody to go with you? You into that? I'd go see that with you.
All right. Well, let's set it up.
It's on tape. All right. What else you got? I got a load of things.
Oh, I got a load of things too.
You do? You go first.
Okay. The first thing
Enough for the 31 minutes of chit chat.
The first thing I want to talk about is the New Jersey high school wrestler who had his dreadlocks forcibly cut off. Okay. And there was this a wrestler, I think he had a do-rag on or something like that, which had been acceptable in many, many other wrestling matches that he had been in. But he goes to face this opponent, and the referee tells him, that, either cut off the dreadlocks or you're going to forfeit. And this is the referee who in the past had called a fellow referee the N-word, and that referee then turned around and knocked him out with one punch. So there's thinking that this ref has a history, he has a glass jaw, and a history of racism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so then there's video footage of a little white girl with a pair of scissors chopping off this guy's dreadlocks. And then there's, a pushback because the journalists who were reporting on this say, oh, what a team player. He's going to, cut off his dreadlocks, Yeah. My commentary on this, and I'm going to have to step back from the mic.
All right, step back. I'll even turn it down.
Was there not another man, Doug, capital M-A-N, in that damn wrestling place to say, hell no? Yeah. This is not going to happen. Yeah. Where's the courage and the guts of that other team member to say, no, I'm going to forfeit if you make him cut his dreadlocks off, so he wins anyway?
Yeah.
None of the coaches, none of the people in the stands take that referee outside and say, you know what, we're going to incapacitate you from reffing this match.
Yeah.
If you're going to cause this to happen. Yeah. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Woo!
That's well said, my friend.
Thank you very much. Sorry
Where
about that.
were they?
Yeah. Sports, America.
I know. This is the thing, right? It's just, there's...
The boy...
it's so racist. It's so culturalist. It's so much power. It's so much... put the team first, but nobody else is... the team's not putting him... it's just broken at every slot in my mind. It's just...
At the very least, if there was a legitimate concern from the ref, he could have said to the other player,
"Yes,
do you mind wrestling him with the dreadlocks? They seem a little out of control," or whatever.
What was the referee's rationale? Do you know? Is this a thing like it is in some other sports where that you can't have some appendage on you that gains you an advantage? Is that the idea?
I bet there's somewhere in the wrestling rule book where it says that hair must be close cropped or something like that. But I don't know how they handle girl wrestlers. And I mean, come on.
Or they wear head things. Did he not wear a head thing?
I think he had one of those, and the guy said, no, you need to, it's
because they extend it out from beneath it or something.
I don't know.
But this kid was a frequent he was on a wrestling team. Like this isn't the first match.
No, and he won that match against the dude. After all, but
well, thank you for your righteous outrage. And the whole visual of it too, the young white girl cutting his hair.
Yeah, it's just
I was wondering why I saw the video go by, but then an ad came up for a t-shirt. But I looked at the picture, and my friend Michael Waters did a nice post about this, so I was aware of it, and this morning saw the video. Is it a video or is it just a photo?
It's a video. There's a video.
Yeah. Like, people must have thought this was a good idea, right? They weren't videotaping it like, I'm going to show this bad thing is happening. It felt like it was being video recorded from her side.
Like more of a journalistic or documentary kind of thing.
Look what he's doing for the cause.
Than watching a cop beating up somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess, this just, living in Minnesota, in this bubble, that this sort of attitude persists in different places across the United States, and probably in those communities like that where this happened, there's no ripple whatsoever, Oh.
I got a news piece for you.
Okay.
From National Public Radio, NPR.
Mm-hmm.
White letters inside of 3 boxes. Official NPR logo. News story from Richard Harris. Researchers show parachutes don't work. But there's a catch. Research published in a major medical journal conclude that a parachute is no more effective than an empty backpack for protecting you from harm if you jump from an aircraft. I mean, this is enough to make...
Okay.
Yeah, But before you leap, I'm reading, to any rash conclusions, you'd better hear the whole story.
Okay, yes, please.
The gold standard for medical research is a study that randomly assigns volunteers to try an intervention or to go without one and be part of a control group. Right? So you take the Prozac pill or you take the sugar pill.
Right.
For some reason, no one has ever done a randomized control trial of parachutes.
For some reason.
For some reason. In fact, medical researchers often use the, quote, parachute example when they argue that they don't need to actually do a study because they're sure that they already know that something works. Better than not having it work, right? Like you don't need it.
A better metaphor for that argument is that it wouldn't be a placebo, but it would be poison.
That's good. That's good. So you're either going to take a poison pill
or something that's going to give you a boner or whatever you're testing. Yeah.
Cardiologist Robert Ye, an associate professor at Harvard Medical School, which I never trust the associate professors.
Just scratching and crawling.
Yeah. Might as well put adjunct. The associate professor, but this is at Harvard Medical School, so maybe that's different.
Is there a doctor in front of his name?
He's a cardiologist, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he is a cardiologist, and he's also an associate professor.
All right, he's done time.
And he's the attending physician at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center.
This guy's a freaking expert.
He's still just an associate
professor. You don't
professor.
get that gig from being, late to class.
Well, he didn't wait till his 50s to kind of get his stuff together.
No.
But he got a wicked idea one day. He and his colleagues would actually attempt the parachute study to make a few choice points about the potential pitfalls of research shortcuts. They started, this is great. They started by talking to their seatmates on airliners.
Oh my God. Did they tell them they were part of an experiment? Because
quoting him, we would strike up a conversation and say, would you be willing to be in a randomized study where you had a 50% chance of jumping out of an airplane with versus without a parachute? Only a few people said yes to this outrageous invitation, this article goes on, and they were excluded for reasons of questionable mental health. So you say to some guy, they're like, hey, I'm a researcher at Harvard, associate professor, and at Harvard Medical School, and attending physician at Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital. We're doing a study, a 50-50 chance that you got a parachute or just an empty backpack. Would you do it? And if someone says yes, they're like, well, then you're not doing it.
No, if they say yes, then the doctor's like, stewardess, can I move to a different seat? This person's crazy as hell.
The scientists had much better success asking their own research team from Harvard to do it. Mm-hmm. So they got their own researchers together. In all, 23 people agreed to randomly be given either a backpack or a parachute and then jump from the biplane at Martha Vineyards in Massachusetts or from a helicopter in Michigan.
So what is the payoff? They're basically saying, here's a revolver. There's 3 bullets in it. It holds 6. They
want to make sure that the parachutes have been adequately studied before we just go off. Require, you need scientific research.
But why would you say yes to the, to this? Because
you got a 50-50 chance. That's as good as not.
Of plummeting to your death.
Well, you're part of science. So they pick their own researchers who care about science. Now, here's the thing. Relying on 2 locations and only 2 kinds of aircraft gave the researchers quite a skewed sample. But this sort of problem crops up frequently in studies, which was part of the point that Ye and his team were trying to make. Mm-hmm. Still, photos were taken during the experiment to show the volunteers were only too happy to take part. I think people were laughing all the way to the ground, Ye says. Oh, there's one important detail. The drop in the study was only 2 feet because the biplane and the helicopter were parked. Nobody suffered any injuries, surprise, surprise. So it's technically true that parachutes offered no better protection for these jumpers than did the backpacks. The point being, but of course, Ye says, that's a ridiculous result. The real answer is that the trial did not show a benefit because of the types of patients that were enrolled. Mm-hmm. If they'd enrolled people at high risk for injury, that is, people flying in an aircraft, the results would have been quite different, not to mention unethical. But something like this happens every day in medical research.
I like that thinking.
It's far too easy for scientists who already have anticipated an outcome for their research to cherry-pick patients and circumstances to achieve the results that they expect to see. Mm-hmm. The research paper carried that idea to a ridiculous extreme. The study, true study, the study's findings were published in a traditionally lighthearted issue of the medical journal BMJ. It's a bit of a parable, he says, to say that we have to look at the fine print. We have to understand the context in which the research was designed and conducted to properly interpret the results. Scientists often read just the conclusions of a study and then draw their own conclusions that are far more sweeping than are justified by the actual findings. This is a real problem in science that he was trying to address. It's kind of a great story. I mean, a great way to do it, and they pitched it to the press well, and caused me to have to, open up the...
Way to go, Dr. Ye, Dr. Ye.
Yay.
Well, I have a segue story.
Okay. Is it about a segue, I hope?
No, but it is...
That would have been a great move.
Apparently, recently, a 15-year-old boy made his own parachute. And to cheering crowds, leapt off of a 15-story building to his death.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that really happened.
You could have preceded that with, I have a tragic story, so I wasn't giggling. Okay, to his death.
I can't control you, Doug.
That's right. You're not responsible for my feelings.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very true.
But this happened in the Ukraine, so make sure you check your parachutes, and if they're made in the Ukraine, you might want to give them a double check.
Yeah, especially if they were made by
15-year-old Bogdan Versov.
Bogdan, yeah, if it's the Bogdan shoot.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a crazy. This is a real story. This really happened and is obviously a tragic, but. Just the kind of unawareness that, no, this is really something very serious.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. Anyway. Want to talk about Muslims, Doug?
Always.
Okay, so, hey, praise the Lord, ISIS is defeated.
I mean,
So
I beat them worse than the quote from the president. I beat them worse than any other president has. I mean, it's so delusional at every level. Like, you're not actually there. He's like a sports fan that says, we won today. You didn't do anything, Mr. President, other than follow the advice of your generals and your Secretary of Defense and other presidents, and then they quit.
Anyway, on or around the same day that Trump announced victory over ISIS, ISIS decapitated a Norwegian woman on camera.
I didn't know that.
And it killed these 2 Norwegian tourists that picked them up in Morocco, and it executed them. So, Doug, can I get just a little controversial here with this? Okay.
Sure.
I did a little research, and apparently there are anywhere between 20,000 and 100,000 people who are part of ISIS.
20 to 100,000.
And there is an aggregate across the world of about 100,000 people who are associated with Al-Qaeda in different hotspots across.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
their membership list is more like the NRA. It's not as big as it's pitched.
Yes, it's more money than people.
Yeah.
So between ISIS and Al-Qaeda, there's 200,000 people who are involved in this. There are 1.8 million Muslims in the world. Billion Muslims, sorry.
1.8 billion.
1.8 billion Muslims in the world. Can't these 1.8 billion Muslims in the world get together and just snuff out these 2,000 terrorists that are set on watching the world burn?
Well, apparently not, because no group with its 1% extremists can seem to solve this problem. Christians can't solve it.
Yeah.
Jewish community can't solve it.
I was going to segue to that too.
America can't solve it. Every group, every tradition, every subset.
Keep talking. I'm so into what you're saying.
Has a subset, a small percentage of people, 1 to 5 to 10%, that are extremists, and that extremism is. I don't want to go so far as to say it's baked in or it's required, but I actually think I think it's true. I think it's fractally true. You know fractals? Are you big into fractals? Fractals mean that whatever's in us, there's a repeating pattern from the small to the large.
Only what I know from my ayahuasca experiences, but go ahead.
Is that like a mushroom?
Similar, yes. It's a psychedelic concoction that has to be made by a shaman, and the interesting part about it is that it's made like from a root of this plant, and then like a leaf from some other plant to make this experience. And so it's like, how did they know
it's like a mixed drink of psychedelics,
right? Like, how did they? Because you just eat the root, nothing happens. You eat the leaf, nothing happens. You put them together, and you get to speak to the fractal gods, or they do all the talking. But anyway, I've never done it, but so
anyway, fractals are this notion in the multiverse universe that which the repeating pattern of something small repeats in the larger pattern, because it's a pattern within a pattern within a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think this is true so you see this across that there's an aberration. Aberration? Is that
aberration?
Aberration, not an aberrational.
I think you mean apparition and
aberration.
Right.
There's a 1%, 2%. So I actually think snuffing it out, which is why we're totally wrong about our approach on terrorism in the world. You don't snuff it out. What you do is you create a context in which it is as least dangerous as it can be, recognizing it has to be. It's like arsenic to humans in the elements. It's renegade cells in our body that the white blood cells have to defeat the red blood cell. Like, you need a healthy enough system that the fractal repeating pattern of extremism doesn't carry the kind of damage that it does. But when you create a vacuum, which is what happens when you create such an unhealthy situation where the criminal elements in any environment, in this case, a criminal element fueled by nationalistic religious fervor, and now I don't know if I'm talking about Trumpism or something else, it takes over. And so, so to say to any group, hey, you've got to go police yourself, well, that's just near on impossible.
Well,
in my view.
Why don't we hear like Tim Keller calling out these mega church pastors with their big parsonages and all of these obvious general accepted violations of gospel behavior. Why isn't there a greater accountability?
Yeah.
Because it just seems like, we're just responsible for our people in our little denomination. And, even then, we bite our tongue
they're
because
not us. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I find it very, very frustrating to see that, and that, that the positive aspects of Christianity being eroded by these Mont Blancs.
Well, and same with Islam. So my friend Ani Zonneveld, who runs Muslims for Progressive Values, international organization based in Los Angeles, fantastic. What's Ani going to do? She's doing the best she can, but the idea that you're going to get together, or even that a king in one country or that an elected leader in another Muslim country is going to get together and wipe, that's what they're literally trying to do. But you have to, all conflict, all war especially, it only ends by negotiated peace. You never wipe everyone out.
Yeah.
You create the conditions by which people are going to negotiate a peace. So you have to be constantly creating the conditions by which the peace can be had. You just can't bluster your way into, which is why it's so ridiculous. And this is what everybody who studies war says. You don't ultimately militarily defeat any enemy, especially ISIS. You create the conditions by which their dangerous rhetoric and action
doesn't get any traction.
Is neutralized.
And I don't mean to compare the issues in evangelicalism with
I do.
with Muslim extremism, but and I guess too what you said there made me think that this is also a problem of grouping people together in my observation. Because I'm assuming, they're all 1.83 billion, whatever. They're all on the same newsletter and mailing list, and at
the annual meeting of all Muslims, why don't you vote them down?
Right, yeah, right. And this is the same as thinking that there's a similar unity amongst Christians, but you would think both groups having a unifying theology could do something to self-correct those errant groups. But
I think you're right. But and not to bore people all that much more, but an extremist Islamist has more in common with extremists of other ideologies than they do with moderates of Islam.
Yeah, you can really see that, can't you?
Yeah.
Across the board, there's just this similarity in the tightening of beliefs and the you're in, you're out kind of.
So the I remember watching the show Hill Street Blues when I was a younger man.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever watch that? There was one where Ferrari, the chief of police in New York, brought all the gang members in together and just said, "Look, we're talking about it now. I'm negotiating a peace between you gangs here because this is killing the city." Right? You have to bring those people all together because they're part of the same. The extremists in Syria, we call ISIS, the Islamic State, are actually competing with the extremists in the other places. It's extremism. And unfortunately, the United States is seen as an extremist group in that part of the world.
Sure.
That's why they've been able to create a fair fight in their own minds. And they see themselves as the righteous ones, and they see the United States as the extremist intruders and invaders and marauders. So we actually have to even negotiate the peace under the assumption that, in their minds, we're the bad guys.
Yeah,
it's really, this is where deep empathy and leadership comes in. I mean, if I should, I should play this. I should play this Lady Gaga song. Do you know?
No, time out. No.
It's called Angel Down.
You can't play that on this. We'll get shut down.
No, they don't get shut down. They just put a thing on.
I played 30 seconds
on
of
Facebook.
Van Halen, and we got
Facebook. Well, you're right. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a song called Angel Down, and it's the her
saved us from having to listen to that.
her ode to Trayvon Martin, but also all the and her question, about the angel being down is she has this great chorus in this line from the song where she says, "Where are our leaders? Where are they? Why aren't people?" To your point about the boy being having his dreadlocks cut.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the people standing up to take care of this stuff? It's and in the United States, what we have is a lack of total leadership. Presenting, and I would go all the way back to Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. In all of that, no leadership about how the United States wants to see the world community interact around extremism. Mm-hmm. It has just been drone strike, military strike, ground troops, money taking. Just we're going to war our way out of this one.
Yeah,
it's no good. It's not going to work. You don't kill your way out. What you do is you fight till the point that one of you is willing to leave. And Trump finally said, okay, this is the moment we're going to leave.
Yeah.
Like he just hit pause, found a lull, and then said, now we're going to go. Having solved nothing in Syria.
I think
nothing, the conditions on the ground have not changed.
As our politics go away from a policy into more like just random whatever, it seems like I miss some of the bureaucracy that's involved in things. Like, for instance, like to justify spending $5.8 billion on a wall, it seems like you would need a lot of research, a lot of documentation, a lot of interviewing people who would be affected by this, the cost analysis,
a parachute test of some variety.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
In the same way with now, I've heard liberal news commentators say that the withdrawal from Syria is a defendable position.
Sure, it is.
But it's the lack of this kind of like, look, this is what we've determined. If we exit now, yes, this group will take over this, and it will act as a counterbalance to that. So we're just kind of fucking it up being there. Yeah. So we're going to get out of there and kind of let them sort it out. And if there was like some sort of logical, other than just,
Right. Well, part of the reason I think that James Mattis resigned as Secretary of Defense is that Trump basically put his rationale was, I need a win. I made 3 promises to the people. We're going to pull out militarily. We're going to build the wall, and I'm going to be whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever is I'm going to be your representative. He's not getting the wall. He realizes Congress is turning against him. He needs to bolster his base so that they support him during what's probable impeachment. Mm-hmm. So he chose pulling out of Afghanistan and Syria as something that he thought would represent his, this is what I said I was going to do. Now, I get the argument. People can make it. If a president runs on a promise and they go to complete that promise, you can't be squawking about the fact that they did. But what people were saying all along is, no one believes Trump that he's going to do this.
Right.
We're going to bring in generals. They're going to tell him this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then he'll say, oh, the generals are telling me it doesn't work. But instead, 2 years in, the generals quit. And they're like, he's literally doing these things. He's doing the chaos in the world order. So it's the idea that the rationale for pulling out of Syria now without talking to the stakeholder, even the most minimal level of stakeholders. But he also, who he talked to?
Yeah.
The president of Turkey or the premier of Turkey. And Trump has active business negotiations in Turkey. He's trying to stay on their good side. That's why Mike Flynn is trying to help to have that what they call a dissident. Mm-hmm. And that's why he lied about his contact, didn't say that he was working as a foreign agent for Turkey. Mm-hmm. That the whole thing is he
made $500 million.
I know. Flynn and Trump both have shared business in Turkey. That's what this is all about. And now I sound like the conspiracy theorist, right? Now all of a sudden it's like I'm going to start talking about Building 7 and Tremeculite. And I'm not, because this is true corruption. That's true cover up and conspiracy. This is definable, clear. That's why people have gone to jail. Because you don't need to say, well, there's a big cabal going on that keeps the secret. There's no secret. They're caught. And so what Trump is doing is has multiple. He had a conversation when they were in Argentina, wherever the G20 was. Was it Argentina?
I don't know.
I think Buenos Aires. But they're in when they had that G20 like 3 weeks ago. Then they have 3 phone calls, and then Trump just says we're pulling out because it's what Turkey wants, because Turkey needs us out so that they can finally turn their attention in their fight against the Kurds.
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, this will go down. This Turkey thing, of all things, Turkey is at the cross. It's not Russia only. It's Turkey that's at the center of the Trump, Flynn, Kushner deals that are being made. That's where the money is for them. It's unbelievable.
What's interesting is that one time, Iraq had, like, I believe it was either the 3rd or 4th most powerful standing army.
Right.
And like Turkey was like 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
Now, compared to the United States, it's,
everybody's in another category.
But, these are people who, I mean, like, they're not just savages with AK-47s. Right. They're actually military folks. And you look, and it's so, who are we to like to promote? We want more war. Obviously we would like to, withdraw all of our people from all this insanity. Yes. But part of this is our creation, and particularly the Afghanistan, situation with the invasion of Iraq and everything, and how the Kurds were our allies in that.
Yes.
And not to mention pretty feisty little fighters.
Yeah.
So
it was, I mean, Joe Biden was arguing way back in 2008 when he was running for president, there's a way to deal with this, and that's to
empower the Peshmerga
Kurds their own country.
Yeah.
To divide it. But, the U.S. and England were involved in the redesign of much of the world, especially Africa and the Middle East, after World War I.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all these problems root from.
Yeah.
The poor negotiated end of World War I and then again in World War II. When the answer is we're going to divide up the world. Israel after World War II is going to have its own country, which it needed to have, but the way it happened was really difficult for people in the region. And after World War I, the way they divided up by like where the rivers ran. Like they did it the way they did the United States, where they just said, well, there's a river, so let's let the next territory start on the far side of the river. But people were living cross rivers, so you ended up dividing people groups.
Yeah.
So you lay over a nation on top of a people group, and here's the crisis.
Yeah.
So,
and then help set up puppet governments to try to rule this disparate people groups.
Unbelievable. So here we have it. Well, I don't know why they're not listening to us.
Okay, I got another controversial thing.
Oh, you do? Yeah, and then I've got some fun stuff.
Good. Because this could get a little heavy, but I like to. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so Martina Navratilova.
Yes.
The famous tennis player that I watched all through my youth.
Exceptional.
If not one of the best in the world.
Yes.
Ever. And so she's being accused of being transphobic, and she is, of the...
She's a lesbian.
Yes. That community, because she is suggesting that people who are born male should not be allowed to compete in women's sports like as they make a transition.
Well, that's wow.
And so I wanted to, because there's a couple of other examples of this. Forgive me, I don't know her name, but you can look her up. But there is a UFC fighter who was born a male and had went through a sex change transition, but is still like fighting as a woman. Now in the UFC. And so this kind of gets into like the scientific realm, as well as the philosophical.
Right. What makes a woman? What makes a man?
And does, would transitioning from a man to a woman give that person then an unequal advantage in these athletic competitions?
Like, are we going to base it on a genetic? Do you have to reach a certain genetic test?
There was also an Olympic athlete who was and won every race.
Right.
I mean, so it was like, how do we negotiate that as a people?
Yeah, it's a real question, and it's been a real question for a very long time. It's now just come to the surface that our even the way we organize our sports into male and female categories.
Yeah,
is is problematic. But I have a friend who said that he was listening to a book. He just told me this last night or 2 nights ago. He said, I'm listening to a book, and the author suggests that in 100 years, just as a rough time, we're going to look back on this period, and 2 things are going to be obvious to us that 100 years from now we would refer to as criminal.
Mm-hmm.
The way we treat most children in public education, the way they get bussed into schools, the way that they're treated in a classroom, the way that they interact with teachers, the way their spirits can sort of be at the mercy of the educational curriculum, all this stuff, right? He's like, look, that's... And the other is that we use gender, male, female genders, as these distinct boundaries between each other. It will be in 100 years, this author purports, we will be ready to say, that was madness. The way we might say it about separating the races or separate, like there's a way different way that you could organize these questions of category of athleticism or education or something, that we need to leave behind the gender question the way we do and recognize other features of humanity and let that be the dividing point. So, and this she's, but currently, I get her point. That's a difficult thing.
Wait, and there's, I don't not irony or whatever, but in her professional career, one might say that she had a very
masculine bodybuilder, or something?
Masculine physique.
Yeah.
Not that she had a masculine physique, but like her body was optimized. To the point where she was lean and ripped and, was a very athletic woman.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things. We can do genetics, or we usually just do some kind of base indicators about gender. But boy, if you're a high testosterone male and a high testosterone woman, that has as much impact on you as would a high testosterone male to a low testosterone male.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That just can't develop the things that are developed from testosterone that then we've built entire sports industries around.
Yeah,
you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So, that's a very real question about what are we going to use as the markers that put people in one category or another.
Because I think, too, if it turns out that trans people end up being dominant in their sports of the gender of their choosing, that then even then people will look at them like, oh, okay, that's the reason why they won, and then somehow, because there's a part that's like where we're resisting any kind of bigotry by saying you can't do this, because this is the gender that you identify as, and so thus you should be, it should be permissible for you to access those things that gender accesses. Could this be a limitation, or And I think in the UFC, because in science, when you transition from a male to a female, there's still a lot of internal things like bone structure and different things like that aren't affected by that as much by that transition. That could be, give a good punch.
Yeah, we have 2 competing notions. What's called Title IX in the federal law about equal support for women's sports and men's sports, as well as other things that are in Title IX. But that's a big deal. So we've done a lot to bolster women's sports activities, like in college and high school and so on. It's a big deal. I am shocked as someone who, growing up, girls playing boys' sports in that classic sense was being questioned in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
All the way back to the Bad News Bears, right? One of the great stories that really helped me turn my mind around on this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a big deal. But I went to college and played college sports, college basketball, at a Division III level. There were women on the women's Division III basketball team at my college and across the league that I was in, who were as capable. They were better basketball players than the men on the men's team.
Yeah,
they're great. And if you go up to like Division I women, they're way better than men. But they couldn't play. I don't know why in college sports there's not. I can't imagine that there aren't women who could try out for Division I, Division II, and Division III basketball teams or volleyball teams and couldn't play. But we just have created this other separation, which I think is really important. I'm a full Title IX supporter, but maybe the create women's sports and make sure you have an equal number of women's sports that you do to men's sports is actually fought against the integration of women. They did it in the military against all sort of argument, and I don't know. I think but now this is a different question. That that's a different question than a person that claims a gender different than what culture has assigned to them. That's a different question. And I don't know what we do about that. It's
and I think
the idea that millennials are just going to figure this out, that the people of older generations keep punting all these things down to, millennials, they don't even have this binary. Oh, please. People used to say that about Gen Xers. These people are going to turn 50 years old and be sitting around like, when I was a kid, we talked about this all the time. We talked about this stuff all the time in the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s. Where it's like KS95 radio playing the hits from the 70s, 80s, and today. It's the same thing. Just we never get anywhere on these important topics.
Now, I think that there's probably would be some social justice warriors out there who might be tense at my approach to this. Okay, because in bringing it up, I think there's a little. I think a lot of people are afraid of the slippery slope, which is shit that we dealt with in the fucking emergent church movement. Okay. It's like, no, we're not all going to end up, having sex with animals. That was like the whole,
You're saying that the religious communities that said if you become open about some things, that's the silk long underwear and you're just it's gonna slide right down.
Right. So people,
the slippery slope.
So people who really hold to gay rights very closely, and they don't want any weakness in there because what people could do obviously is use this discussion as a way to put down trans people.
Yes.
And, so, I don't think that is, from what I've read, Martina Navratilova's point at all. I think it's just about fairness in sports is what she is focused on. And that's not my intent, at all. It's just, an interesting discussion, I thought.
Yeah, I do too. Well, good back out. Hey, I've got one for you.
All right.
Are you done with your serious stuff?
Yes. Oh, no, I still got a couple other decapitation stories, but all right, I think we're good
let's
there.
Keep our heads here.
Uh-huh.
I found a nice little article called How Others See You, based on your Myers-Briggs personality type.
Oh, boy.
Do you know your Myers-Briggs?
I do.
Yeah, a lot of people do. They've really. Now, I will say, I listened to a Stuff You Should Know podcast. Like, if you're going to listen to two podcasts, listen to that one first and then this one. So if you're already listening to this one, you don't have Stuff You Should Know.
Yeah.
It's kind of this random podcast where, like, once a week, two guys sit around and talk about stuff that they researched and learned about. I mean, they're kind of stepping on our toes, but they've been at this for a long time.
All right. I've never heard of them, so.
Stuff You Should Know? Really? Oh, one of the great things they do is they'll eat an English muffin right during the.
There's like 7 million podcasts out there. I don't know this one. Is the mic picking up on
No,
it?
it's really famous. It's
feeling peckish.
It's been leading edge for a long time. If you're only listening on the audio, John is eating a English muffin now.
Well, these are hearty.
They are hearty.
They're just kind of disgusting, really.
Yeah. They really are basically a vehicle. They're these sprouted. Sprouts based that I would say my life partner, but I was on a podcast and a man made fun of me, so now I'm just going to say my partner. My wife really loves those. I have to eat them with peanut butter. It's just a vehicle.
I was going to say foregoing the jelly spread on this was a bad mistake.
Well, also that was more than an hour and a half ago that those were in the toaster, so they've been sitting there for a long time. But they pretty much, as an English muffin, they're pretty much the rice cake of English muffins.
Yeah, I think with the right toppings, this would be okay. But
as a vehicle to carry the right toppings.
Yeah, you're going solo on this.
So the Myers-Briggs is super famous, and this Stuff You Should Know podcast. They go into this, and they basically conclude.
What's their tone?
The Myers-Briggs is
the biggest load of bullshit ever.
It's scientifically unsupported, but it's really helpful. It's helpful. Whatever. It works on 4 categories.
The personality's hard to,
Yeah, until you read until you get into the result. This is what's confusing about it. It's like my friend Paul Wallace that I have on my radio show on Fridays, astrophysicist. He'll often say, like, sometimes, the science can be a little confusing as astrophysicists and physicists and quantum physics. Like, we can't seem to figure out the difference between quantum, why there's a different set of realities in quantum world, small, super nano world, and the larger world. So there's this missing piece. What we do know is that they're both true, and when you put them together, it works, and we don't know why. It's kind of the way personality.
I'd like to get Paul Wallace on some ayahuasca.
That's a weekend podcast.
Let's go to Costa Rica with Paul Wallace and get freaked out by some shaman.
All right. So it breaks it down into these different categories. It's kind of nice. So I looked at mine. I am an E for extrovert, an N for intuitive.
Me too.
T for thinker. P for perceiver.
Interesting.
ENTP.
I'm ENFP.
Ah. Okay. This is going to be fun for us. So it breaks it into 4 categories. One group is called the Guardians in this article. That's the ISFJs, the ESFJs, the ISTJs, and the ESTJs. They're a set.
The Guardians?
They're called the Guardians. The second category of 4 are the Artesians. I really wanted to be in that one, but I'm just totally not. The ESFPs, extrovert, sensing, feeling, perceivers. The ISTPs, the ESTPs, and the ISFPs. Now, if these letters mean nothing to you as a listener or watcher.
But there's people out there that bells are ringing.
Yeah. I have a friend that says, I am an ESPN. I see the world through the lens of sports. The Idealist is the third category. The ENFP.
Woo! Come on now.
The INFP. The ENFJ. And the INFJ.
Was one of those you?
Nope. That's the Idealist category.
Oh, yeah.
The Rationalist.
Oh, of course.
The Rationalists in the fourth category include the INTJs, the INTPs, the ENTPs, boom, and the ENTJs.
And what are those? What are you again?
I'm an ENTP.
No, what's that category?
The Rationalists.
The Rationalists.
Like, these should be band names. The Rationalists, the Idealists, the Artesians, and the Guardians. All right, so you were... I'm just going to read yours for you and see how well you think it fits you.
All right.
The you're the...
ENFP.
Really? Okay. You see how I said that? Totally like, oh, you're not. I mean, it was total like personality judgy that I did right there, just in my, oh, really? I held it. Okay, here we go.
I'm not absorbing any of that.
As the Idealist, they name the ENFP as the Passionate. Here's what it reads. Tell me if this is true about you.
Yeah.
ENFPs have a zest for life and a passion for helping others.
Yeah.
You attract a crowd.
Okay.
Everyone wants to talk to you because you're both empathic and quick-witted. Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can seem scattered to others at times, but it's because you have a million things going on at once.
Fuck yeah. So
now, for you, it's a million things in your head, but it's a million things going on. Like you have a very active mind.
Get off my ass, Skylar.
You are driven to reach goals, major career goals, but many people miss that since you more overtly lead with your passion for people.
I don't like...
No?
I think maybe because I feel I've had such little success in the pursuit of my goals that it doesn't really, like, I don't picture that as a driving thing. But maybe that, there is a Jiminy Cricket in there somewhere that's,
I think the many people miss this might include you. You even miss that you really have a strong drive.
I missed that part of the sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, it reads this way. You're driven to reach major goals, but many people miss that since you more overtly lead with your passion for people.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me get you. This is so this is not a way to say how to understand yourself. This is understand that other people, when they see you, this is what they see. They see a person, of your, you have this zest, you like to help people, you've got this sort of people-centric thing, people want to be around you, they see you as a bit scattered at times.
Yeah, I think
you're actually pretty driven, they don't know that.
Yeah, I think if you're in a good headspace, I could see people thinking that about me in those terms. A lot of times, I think that people look at those things, in a in a
negative way.
But that's all. That's
That's
me.
the inner work,
Right.
that a man has to do in a man's life.
There's like 700 grams of fiber in that thing.
Kicking in between that and the coffee.
Well, I just can feel it. Like it's congealing back into a disc form in my stomach right now.
This is the sprouted.
Yeah,
Sprouted
there's
grain.
like reaching out,
English muffin you just ate during the live stream podcast.
Right.
All right, the ENTP. Tell me if you think this is true. This
Okay.
is mine. I don't want to go through all 16 of these because that'd take a while. Scattered is the name it gives it. Scattered
What does that mean?
means that I'm seen as scattered.
No,
Really?
absolutely not.
I hear it all the time from people. Yeah.
Yeah, from people with the initials SP.
Shelly Badge is referring to. No.
Doug, I've worked with you on in the tens of projects.
Yes.
And I've never thought that you were scattered. You were always able to provide a solution of, like what needs to be done next.
Fair enough. I think my scatteredness I harness. But if you went back and listened to the hour and 21 minutes of this podcast, the bouncing around, I can be scattered and still keep moving.
If you were scattered, I would.
Okay, now
I would tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I am.
I would.
But I'm comfortable with their category of scattered here. Here's how it reads.
I'm doing a Freddie Mercury now.
Yeah, he broke the.
We're the champions.
stand.
All right, I'll figure
Broke
this
the
out.
stand.
Can you continue while I
here's how it reads.
do maintenance?
Scattered. You have deep spools of knowledge, but you're also a social enigma. I like that. I just like the idea that I'm an enigma. You're a chameleon, equally able to lead or cruise through life unnoticed.
Wrong.
No, it's actually true.
Bullshit. Are you going to believe that?
It's true.
That is not true, Doug.
It
That's
is
not
so-
how other people think about you, that you're just like some flotsam and jetsam. You're going to float around with whatever. You know you are the leader of whatever you participate in.
No, there are people who I hear this a lot. They're like,
Who are these fucking people?
well, listen. Here's how it comes out. They say this a lot. You're kind of confusing because you're super easygoing.
Shut up, Brian McLaren. Get out
Take
of my
it.
head.
You kind of take it as it comes. You kind of have this Johnny come easy sort of attitude, and then you just kick in with this drive. Right. So I get it. It's an enigma, a social enigma. I'm a chameleon, but then also we'll go along. You can sort of do whatever you want, and then I come jumping in.
This is
I hear it all
insulting
the
to
time.
my friendship with you because
I hear it
this
all the time.
you don't hear it all the time.
I do. I tell you. Okay, just let me go on. That's only sentence one. Sentence
boy.
2, and there's 5 of these.
Jesus.
Sentence 2.
I agreed with everything on my list.
I know, and I agree with everything on mine, which is curious.
Mm.
A deep spools of knowledge, but you're a social enigma. You're a chameleon, equally able to lead or cruise through life unnoticed.
It's just fucking not you.
Okay, I don't mean to defend myself on this, but you know how I'll say things like, I don't want to go to the same hairstylist because I don't want them to get to know me?
Yeah?
I don't want to go to the same coffee shop once they say, hey, Doug, how you doing today? I'm like, not coming back. Not coming back. I literally want to cruise through life unnoticed. On some things I want to lead. I want to have a whole voice, and then other things I'm like, I will step to the back. I'll run the thing and not be.
That's an interesting insight in the
It's an-
tapes that are playing in your head. Doug.
It's an enigma. People also discover new sides of you. You're so like, oh, I didn't know you were into that. I didn't know you were into that. I didn't know that was interesting to you. I didn't know that. People, I get this all the time.
Oh yeah, you're kind of weird. So
Kind of weird like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an ENTP thing, come to find out. I like this. This
it's like
feels
the
good to me.
obsession. Like, remember when you were buying like a pair of tennis shoes, if not every week, but every other week from Zappos? Like, you were the only person I've ever known to do that.
What do you mean buying shoes every
Doug, you like had a problem. You were buying shoes like crazy
and returning them, or just keeping them.
Well, some would get returned, and and bless you for that. That you could like.
I am a VIP member
that
on
you-
Zappos. I
that
get
you
next
would-
day free delivery.
Doug, do you remember when something happened and like you got a note from the vice? I don't know if your order got messed up or something.
Yeah, the owner of Zappos
Yeah.
contacted me.
Yeah, reached out to you and said,
reached out
"Hey,
personally," and said, "Thanks a lot. Sorry, there was trouble."
It was less than our stellar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I remember. It was on Twitter. I was also early on Twitter.
it's like a high
like
roller
number
at a
12.
casino.
Hey, we're just going to send you a couple of pair of slippers, and you just keep those, and
Yeah.
let me know if those serve you well.
Right.
People are always discovering new sides of you. You're also a great conversationalist because you ask a ton of questions and can speak intelligently about seemingly anything.
Well, I think that is evident to what we're doing right here.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can too. I mean, a lot of us can. But no, it was shocking. I read these 3 sentences, 4 sentences.
Let me
5 sentences.
elaborate on that on you. I see that evidence
to you.
by your radio
Yeah.
the radio show, the multiple podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. And oftentimes in the events that you take part of, you play the role of kind of like an intermediary or an interviewer.
Yeah.
And so, because you have a variety of people that you will be doing that with, you've got to be, you got to be like Sean Evans from Hot Ones. You ever see that?
No.
Okay, so it's a show where they have like 10 chicken wings, and it goes from like mild to like the hottest, and they'll have different people, and he will interview them while they're eating these chicken wings. And there's something about
Love
them
that so much.
them freaking, like
Yeah.
you can't hide, that you're dying from this chicken wing. So there's this vulnerability that comes through, as
Yes.
he can, because you're just going to give the answer that's right off the top
Right.
of your head, and so
Right. It's like drunk history. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So in that role of interviewer, you've got to be prepared for whoever comes up, and you do that very well.
Yeah,
so
thank you. And I've tried to figure out.
you do that in your whole preaching career.
Yeah. Yeah. I've realized that. I wrote an entire book about people should be like, how do you preach like an ENTP?
Yeah. That probably was sold more copies.
Totally. Just once again. You know what I need? I need to be more of an ENFP where I really want to succeed. Instead, just poor old me, I'm willing to cruise through life totally unnoticed.
Please continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to, but my screensaver kicked on. You have many acquaintances who think they are close friends, but probably only 1 or 2 people who know you inside and out, whom you'd call in a crisis.
Well, no, that's a thought that's going to fester.
Where are you? Where are you? I thought about this.
That was a line from The West Wing, by the way.
You, I think that is very true. I read this to Shelley today, who's in ENFP like you. And the sentence is, you have many acquaintances who think they're close friends, but probably only 1 or 2 people who know you inside out, whom you'd call in a crisis. And Shelley goes, that's totally not true. I said, well, it's yeah, absolutely. She goes, you don't call anyone in a crisis. Straight faced as they come, like she wasn't even busting me. Straight faced,
Hilarious.
Like,
the Enneagram 6 picks out that last
last line. It just says, that's not you. You just think you can go. I'm like, no, I like everybody. Like I want people to feel that they're friends of mine and they're close friends, and they are. But there's a few. So anyway, you're in that group. This whole thing. Was
Which
set up to
group,
that.
Doug? I mean, you need to be more specific.
Well, the sentence is, you have many acquaintances who think they're close friends, but probably 1 or 2 people who know you inside out, whom you call in a crisis.
That's the
You're one of those.
One of those people who doesn't know where
You're one of those
the
people.
hell they stand with you. Oh, okay. All right. Look, I know where I'm.
Hey,
I'm
friends,
at.
if just post your phone number here or send it to me, paget@gmail. I might need to call you in a crisis. Internet friends.
It will never ever happen.
Isn't that funny that she said, like, you don't ever call anybody when you think you're in a crisis?
Well, that's true.
Which was not the point. The point is a contrast. A lot of people think you're friends, but you have these ones that are closer to you that you sort of turn to, and so people get. But they bring up, and I know this is the thing. It's confusing for people. It's really easy to not fulfill those. Or people are like, I thought I was, and I'm like, on text, who is this?
Yeah.
And I have to go back and read the text string.
I think a part of that is being back in the day. I don't know if you're that so much of this now, but being a church resource person, or at least being a person who is involved in innovation in church work, and so I think that caused like a lot of people, to pursue you for the information that you had, as if you had a fix or a formula. And being who you are, you were able to engage those people in such a way that they came away from those encounters, probably thinking that they were closer to you than, than they actually were. Which is,
yeah, it's a little. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe you felt some of yours, like that little line in yours that was about you really are driven towards success, but a lot of people don't know that because they see you, including yourself, in this other way. That one's a little hard for me to swallow because it makes it feel like this statement. You have many acquaintances who think they're close friends. That's a long way. Acquaintance and close friend. There's a lot in between there. I consider a lot of people friends who think they might be.
So I tell this story frequently, but the first time that I met you, I knew you existed, but I didn't know anything about really what you did.
I existed the first time you met me.
Before the first time I met you.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. We knew of each other.
I guess. But anyway, there was this guy who was trying to bring together Gen X leaders.
Where was that? It was like in some cabin down in southern.
There's some piece
cities.
of land that they had, or
who was that? We should find that person, and have him on because they brought us together.
Right.
And I don't remember who that. He was a good friend of mine, really close friend.
Oh, the name was very familiar in the circles at that time. This person was. I don't think they did a church, but they were kind of more into the
2004. This is 14 years ago. Is 2004?
Yeah,
right?
something like that, right?
4, 5, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
And so Ben Johnson was there. I remember.
Wow.
And I think you had a couple of other people in your posse, but I remember he was this guy was trying to put across hey, do you think that we could, get together frequently and you it just, I don't just sound like an asshole thing to say.
Yeah.
But you said it in such a way where I understood it, where you're like, well, I don't really need any more friends right now.
Did I really?
You did say that.
Was that a sentence? Was it a sentence spoken or just the tone given?
No, it was. I think
it was a sentence spoken.
Yeah, but it was more of I'm extended, as far as the things that I can be, involved in. But here, Doug, on that last part of your the assessment of how other people see you, but we both know that there's people out there that will engage with another person and come away from that engagement and go, that person doesn't want to be my friend.
Yeah. Yes.
So, we know the.
I wonder which person that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, is there one more of these you want to know about? Do you have somebody in your life, a daughter, a son, a mom, a partner, a business associate? They're Myers-Briggs? No, it always takes me 30 seconds to remember what my Myers-Briggs letters are, so I can barely, contain. Oh, I see. I'm E
just
and F. For kicks and giggles. Let's read the INFP.
Okay.
Because we're not. Well, we should read someone who's totally not either of ours.
Yeah.
So we have to pick an I.
Okay.
We're both N, so let's pick an S. An IS. Oh, I'm an F and you're a P. Let's pick an ISTJ. Because that's neither of us, other than the. Is that not a ISTJ? Why do I not? Do they not get the idea? ISTP, ISTJ. Oh, the responsible one. People know if you're an ISTJ and there's no chance an ISTJ is listening to this. There's no chance. They fall into the category.
Their paragraph's quite small.
Of the Guardians, right? They got 2 sentences. And it was really 1 sentence, but they just,
beefed it up.
I haven't read this before, so here it is. ISTJ, the responsible one under the Guardians category.
Yeah.
The people that are protecting.
Yeah.
These Guardians get me.
I'm already feeling a little tightness on my chest.
Me too. I'm just
these are the folks that are calling me out on my shit.
Oh, ISTJ. People know you as a solid person through and through. I like people like this.
Yeah.
I should have more friends. Well, second line, semicolon. Which really, it's just poor. Carla Ewert and I disagree about this all the time. If a semicolon is a sign of a well-crafted sentence or of laziness, I'm on the it's lazy side. And I use them all the time because I'm a lazy writer.
Interesting.
People know you as a solid person through and through. You're a good friend, a kind neighbor, a dependable worker, a diligent parent. See, these are not our friends.
It's John Bradley.
But since you're often more comfortable out of the limelight, you're probably known as much for your humility as for any of those things.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if you know any ISTJs,
I wish I had 1/10 of that in my paragraph.
We need a third host on occasion. We need like a once a month insertion of an ISTJ.
Right. Just, it's like
a responsible person. How would you live your what did you do
just
this
to be
month?
like the drop of chemicals in the fish tank to make it livable.
God, you know who my wife would love for me to be?
Who?
An ISTJ. These are all the features that when I demonstrate them in the slightest of moments, she likes me all the more because we're all the types, right? Like we're not just one or the other. They're not in competition with each other, but we're more of that's my view of all these personality bits.
Well, that person has all of the desirable things that an Enneagram 6 would want as well.
Oh, are you a 6?
No, God, no. I'm a 7. Your wife's a 6. Interesting that we have the same Myers-Briggs, but
and interesting that your cough has been non-existent until just now. Are we getting into emotional issues? Is it an emotional trigger?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the footage and
Let's do it.
And see John starts coughing at this topic and
wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's worth looking into.
But
you know who would do that for us?
Who?
An ISTJ. If we found an ISTJ, because they're a solid person, a good friend, a kind neighbor, a dependable worker, and a diligent parent.
And
that's why they're not listening to this.
Reliable.
Because if someone listening to this said to this reliable person, unbelievable, Kevin, there was a podcast, and they were talking about ISTJs, and that's what you are. You should listen to it. You know what they would say? I don't have time to listen for an hour and 36 minutes to some babbling brook of two. I have someone to call. I have a project. I
have responsibilities.
Right. And
as a responsibility to you, I might check it out in the car, but
and I don't want to tell you about those because it would seem like I'm bragging. So I'll just say I'm unavailable.
That's right.
And I would also probably say emotionally unavailable.
Yeah. Your son is home.
Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, thanks. This was a good long one. Hour and 37 minutes.
It is.
Hey, if you listen all the way to the end of this, and you can send me a post here or send me a note with ISTJ, those letters, I'll send you a book. Not one of mine either. I will pick one off my shelf. That I get a lot of free books because I do stuff. People want to send me free stuff. I'll just select a book. I think
people who
like.
think they're your friends,
or maybe one. Or maybe one I have read.
My friend dug a book.
Once I get done, doing 50 million things in my scattered life, I'll send one to you. So ISTJ, do you have anything to send the ISTJ people? Anything that you'd give them? A thing of lip balm, which we didn't even get to.
Well, now you put me on the spot here. Yeah, I'll give them something. I don't know.
What do you got? What do you got laying around?
I don't know. I'm a minimalist. I don't got anything laying around. What, you want my beard brush?
No, some gum. John will send you a stick of gum. It'll be a stick of gum inside of a book. I mean, it's actually giving up the gum is more of a sacrifice than giving up a book that I got sent and I don't want anymore.
Oh, right, because you could use the gum. The book is just
it's actually helping me to get it out. All right, so ISTJ as our You Listened All the Way to the End award.
I'm actually glad that we did look that one up because that's a nice. I'm glad that there's people like that out there in the world.
I am too. Now, what I'm afraid of is if somebody just tuned in just now and they heard this and then they're going to do it. So I don't know how to track that. But anyway, I don't care.
Oh, right.
If you heard that bit on Facebook Live or on the podcast. And if you don't even know there's a podcast, you can search for Doug Padgett in podcasts and you'll get this one as well as, a shocking number of others. I went through them the other day and I'm like, okay, I know I'm not, This American Life or anything, but Holy moly. And these all also get posted up to YouTube, and the YouTube channel is just full of, just nonsense.
Uh-huh.
Right. In the morning with Doug and John.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, my gosh. We didn't
Yeah.
Not one mention that this is the Saturday before Christmas.
Yeah,
Coming on
yeah.
Tuesday.
What are you guys doing real quick?
This is the problem with the post-Christian society we live in. Happy holidays. Where does that get you?
I'm cool with it.
Oh, my. It's so efficient. You just bundle them all together. I had a friend that said to me the other day, he's kind of working on a little stand-up bit, I think, and he said, back in the 70s, the phrase "up yours" was a phrase you'd use.
Yeah.
Which he thought it meant up your butt,
Yeah.
up your ass.
Right.
I thought it meant up your nose, like up your nose in a rubber hose. So whatever. But I think you might be right, and he's right. And then he said, well, that's curious because we also combined it with a greetings to you and yours. That the yours in up yours meant your butt, and you and yours meant... So you're working on a little bit. So
every time you say that, you have a little wink to
I
yourself.
was going to say, well, all the good to you and yours.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's funny. It's a butt joke. What are we doing?
Your son is in town. Are you going to be doing anything with him? Or have Chinese food with him or something?
No, he's not Jew.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Christmas Eve gathering over at the Solomon's Porch, 4:00 on Monday. If anybody's interested in coming, I hope you do. It's going to be great. Involves it's fun and heartfelt. It's heartwarming for people.
I
of all
believe
ages,
you when you
for
say
people
that.
of all ages. Yeah, if you need some Christmas that you can handle, some Christmas that's that is, I'm trying to find the ISTG, that is responsible and diligent and dependable.
Yeah.
It's an ISTJ Christmas. It's not. It's silly and great. So we're doing that, and then we are going to open some gifts, and then on Christmas Day, we like to go to a movie.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I had a friend who was going to go see Vice. I don't remember who that was. I might go with them.
I'll send you an Outlook invite. Yeah.
I get confused.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, that's what we're doing.
Great. We're having the kids over. Robin's sons will be there, and
At your place.
Yep.
At your new house.
Yep. He's in town from Hawaii,
Do you have a tree up?
Oh yeah, we have a real tree. It was
Like when you cut down and killed.
no, someone else did the slaughtering for us, but it was such a painless process. Go there, pick out that tree.
Yeah, that's right.
They wrap it up. They put it on the hood of the car. They wrap. It literally probably took me a minute and 20 seconds to erect that tree into the stand. Boom, done.
Then did you get the vacuum cleaner out or the broom and sweep up or vacuum up the needles?
Well, this is a healthy tree. It's not dropping needles. Man. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Except the cat's drinking out of it, which I'm not sure is very healthy.
We tried to reuse plastics because that's what we care about. So we bought a recycled tree made out of former plastics because we don't want to destroy the environment. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying you need to do that. I'm just saying we who care about humans and animals and the atmosphere and the planet and the waters.
Right. Couldn't help but to see those gas combustible
That's what we do.
Mowers in your garage when I pulled up.
Well, they are there, but I don't use those anymore. I outsource that to somebody else with big, expensive gas motors. So we have an environment saving tree that you keep in the garage and then you hook together.
Oh, you mean that thing in your living room right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the lights are already on it. That's great.
That's the ultimate empty nester.
Oh, it is. It's so good. We were in New York last week and went with Shelley's sister and her wife and their daughter to buy a Christmas tree. It was excellent. So we walked her up in Harlem, which has now become a very fancy place to live.
Sure.
So we walked 6 blocks, maybe half a mile or so, up to the little flower bodega. Incredible. Went in. They have Christmas trees in the back. They picked one out, and then the guy said, "Would you like that delivered?" And she said, "Yeah, because if not, you have to carry it." The delivery charge, $9.
What?
Yeah, $9.
They are undercutting themselves. I would pay $25.
Of course. Now, I thought they should just add $9 into the price of every tree and say free delivery. So then they're making the $9 even if people don't want the delivery. But anyway, they upsell you for a $9 charge. Within 15 minutes, by the time we walk back, a guy drives up with a van with the tree, carries it in the house, up the brownstone stairs, and puts it in the stand.
Did you tip him?
We were leaving at the same time when he was coming up and bringing it in the house. So I don't know.
That is like probably the best $9 you could spend in New York.
In New York, these are New York prices.
Yeah.
$9 delivery. Yeah, I have spent more than $9 on delivery for food to my house. Like within weeks, I've done that. You know, like when you go Bite Squad or one of those things, and they're
sure.
There's a surge.
Oh yeah,
charge.
like $2 here and
Surge charge right now. You have to add $15 to your charge if you want.
Right,
do you know this? Like on I don't do Bite Squad.
Like between certain hours or something.
Yeah, Uber Eats.
Okay.
Yeah, Uber Eats. They surge like they do surging for an Uber ride.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you're like, well, I just this is the only time I've waited too long. I have to pay the $9 surcharge. So anyway, Christmas trees.
Well, Merry Christmas to all of our listeners, and
And to all a good night.
Mike, keep ticking.
Yes, and blessed Christmas to you and yours.
So beautiful.
In the morning. Are we fully into the afternoon yet? I don't even know what time it is. Yes. Good in the afternoon. Central time. Hey, also, it's day after winter solstice. It's getting brighter.
Ah,
It's my favorite.
glory be.
Glory be. Bye.